Welcome to Alaska Weather, a production of Alaska Public Media and the National Weather Service, Alaska Region. Produced and broadcast daily from the studios of KAKM, Alaska Weather provides complete forecasts, public, marine, and aviation for all of Alaska. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
The National Weather Service.
Hello again, everyone, and thank you for joining us for this Saturday's edition of Alaska Weather. I'm Dave Percy. On the satellite imagery today, no big storms. We've got an upper level trough circulating right up here, dropping southeastward there and toward Kotzebue Sound with a band of moisture clouds and some shower activity and light precipitation associated with that. Just a very weak trailing edge coming back down in toward the Yukon-Kuskokwim Delta areas to the south and southeast of that. Mostly sunny skies there across Bristol Bay. Some clouds for Kodiak. Pretty good though into southern Cook Inlet. Start picking up the clouds over northern Cook Inlet, but still pretty nice. Some scattered showers going on here along the North Gulf Coast, and the convection here over the interior in advance of this trough. Not nearly as extensive as it was yesterday, but generally roughly from just east of the Nulato Hills, kind of eastward there on over toward the border, but a lot less lightning strikes than we had this time yesterday. And drying out here over the southern southeast coast, that low pressure area moving off to the east into Canada there, and getting some of that wraparound coming back down from the north and northeast, keeping the northern areas in the clouds and moisture there back to the west to about Yakutat. That'll be moving off, and you can see lots of clearing on down to the south. Higher pressure here off the coast, so once that pulls on out, that'll move on in and dry it out pretty nicely, but still probably some lingering showers into this evening. And up along the north slope, lots of clouds up there circulating up across the Brooks Range, eastward across the upper Yukon Valley areas, and then breaks out here over the Bering Sea, eastern Bering Sea up to the north there, excuse me, with the low cloud deck, mostly from about the Pribilofs east and or west and southwest there, in across Adak and Atka, where they could have a little bit of light drizzle, fog conditions there, and then moisture trying to come up and just about reaching the Alaska Peninsula here. And they had a little bit of light rain earlier in Unalaska, and then that kind of ended. That whole system here, even though it's circulating around, it's staying to the south and starting to pull off to the east there, so not expecting a whole lot, and really no stormings at all today here across the Bering Sea, so pretty light winds out there, and that's going to continue for a while. On the chart today, see this front down here to the south, the main rain area, of course, staying to the south, although nudging northward here. A little bit of light stuff, hit and miss, more miss than hit here for the western Alaska Peninsula, on over to the Unalaska Island area and Nikolsky, and then to the north here, dry, just clouds, areas of fog with that. And that same pattern extends right up through the Bering Strait and becomes a little more extensive up here with the upper level low and the cooler air, more extensive cloudiness. Again, some central Arctic coasting, a little bit of light snow in the observation there, and a place formerly known as Barrow. Otherwise, pretty light showers in the Brooks Range and the thunderstorms this afternoon right through here toward the eastern interior. A little more north-south coverage there over toward the border, and a lot less as you get back to the west there, but mostly sunny there for Bristol Bay, almost into Kodiak Island, southern Cook Inlet. Some scattered showers here North Gulf Coast, Kenai Peninsula areas developing over the mountainous terrain, but much more stable pattern today than what we had yesterday, and that even extending into the interior with less thunderstorm activity, a little bit more breaks here in the clouds over the Copper River Basin, and then this system again pulling eastward, both at the surface of the loft. So these showers hanging on to the northern panhandle due to that flow coming in from the north and northeast, drying out down to the south, high pressure sitting right off the coast. And with that, some areas of low clouds and fog probably be on the increase tonight, and probably will cover most of the area here in the offshore regions. Still an isolated shower or two hanging on, maybe to the coast range. Otherwise pretty dry, high pressure building in, 1,021 millibars there over the northern panhandle. So variably cloudy, light winds, patchy fog forming in some areas. Same pattern here across the Gulf of Alaska. Light variable winds into Prince William Sound again, so remaining cloudy. Some of that could get into the Cook Inlet area, but to a lesser extent. Probably partly to mostly cloudy. Kodiak Island looks like the rain, at least for now, will stay to the south, moving mostly to the east here. Main push with that off to the east, the jet well to the south. So that's going to take the chance of moisture there for the Alaska Peninsula out of the picture. Just some clouds of the stratus variety and patchy fog there. May pick up some drizzle here over the Bering Sea in some areas. It could hit the Pribilofs. That'll extend up to St. Lawrence Island. Nothing significant, just IFR associated with that. And low pressure over the northwest interior, so showers a little more extensive up through this area and along the trough, trailing back into the lower Yukon Valley areas with evening thunderstorms on the diminishing side here throughout the evening, especially after midnight, and even possibly losing the clouds there over the eastern interior. But back to the west, lots of clouds there for the Chukchi Sea, Arctic coast, North Slope. No change. Low clouds and fog, easterly winds 10 to 15 knots, and very light winds out over the far western Aleutian areas with low clouds and fog there into Adak and Atka. And for tomorrow, a very weak trough trying to push eastward here, but really doesn't affect too much of anywhere, staying well west of the Pribilofs. A little bit of moisture, southwest flow on the increase here. May advect some light rain, fog, or drizzle up to St. Lawrence Island, mostly south side. Otherwise, variably cloudy along the coast, mostly cloudy, less clouds inland, and then this trough sort of stuck in the same position. So some scattered showers, get a little more developed, possibly heavier, a little more widespread as you get up across the Kobuk Valley, maybe into the Koyukuk Valley, and around the back to the northwest there into the Central Brooks Range as well. Arctic coast, easterly winds becoming northeast here around Cape Lisburne, but pretty light there, not more than 10 to 15 miles per hour. High pressure, Gulf of Alaska, light winds there, low clouds, fog, diminishing over the whatever gets up to the coastline. That'll be diminishing in the afternoon. And a dry day, partly sunny at the worst here for the southeast coast. Although some moisture coming northward by tomorrow afternoon, some of that will be slipping across the Queen Charlotte's into Dixon Entrance and possibly affecting maybe Heidelberg, maybe Annette late in the day tomorrow. So look for an increase in the clouds late, otherwise dry, pretty good day there. And then easterly flow will at least pull some showers or light precipitation into the east side of Kodiak Island and Fognak Island there in the afternoon. Dry Shelikof Strait, partly and mostly sunny south central Alaska. Low clouds and fog possible in the morning inlet areas, especially Prince William Sound, but afternoon clearing. A lot less in the way of shower activity. In fact, I haven't even got any drawn on there, and even less of a threat of thunderstorms over the 40-mile country, possibly down to the Wrangels. Otherwise, not too bad, looking pretty good. Out west, nothing big going on there. And for Monday, very weak trough here, westerly flow, pushes that thing roughly to about this position, a little bit more active up here around St. Lawrence Island, so probably some light rain or drizzle there, and that'll trail back into the Pribilofs and actually all the way down into the Adak-Atka area, but really not a very strong feature at all here with northwest winds into the Alaska Peninsula, eastern Aleutian, so the Bering Sea side of things here probably will be IFR on Monday there with some areas of EFR in the lee side of the terrain. Kodiak, east side, chance of rain, increasing winds definitely with that 25 knots there on the east side of Kodiak Island. A pretty good front here swinging northward, spreading rain into the southern southeast coast late Sunday night, spreading northward to about this position in the afternoon. So we've got small craft advisories here for the North Gulf Coast and all of the southeast coast, and increasing rain with that along the coastal areas in the afternoon, pushing inland and changing to showers there for places like Elfin Cove on down to Prince of Wales Island. And the interior, again, scattered afternoon thunderstorms firing up mostly over the central interior, eastward to roughly Eagle, down to the eastern Alaska Range, maybe Tok, and we still have this trough out here sitting over the western interior, kind of a focus for a little more in the way of showers here from the northern Kuskokwim Valley all the way back up to the western Arctic coast, but nothing too heavy or serious. Otherwise drier, a little bit more sunshine here along the west out to the coastline. Arctic coast, look for a little bit of an increase in the winds there, easterlies maybe up to 20 knots. And for the Alaska Peninsula, maybe northwesterlies 20, 25 knots as well. Otherwise, wind staying light, and a warm front brings a chance of rain into the far western Aleutians and Bering Sea, probably not until Monday evening. And temperatures this afternoon looking like this. 50s for the Panhandle, 57 down there at Klawock and Craig, 54 excuse me, at Petersburg, 53 in Juneau, Elfin Cove, right at the 50-degree mark. Lower to mid-50s North Gulf Coast, Homer up to 61. Same thing in Palmer, 64 in Gulkana, 64 also up there at Fairbanks with 63 at Eagle, and 64 at Fort Yukon, 48 Anaktuvik, Arctic Coast, upper 30s, and then into the 40s here over the northwest interior. McGrath just 56 degrees today, but Sleepmute up to 61, upper 50s here from Unalakleet to St. Michael down to Amonic, and a 49-degree reading there at Nome. Savunga 44, upper 40s here for the Pribilofs as well as the eastern Aleutians. Adak and Atka, upper 40s there as well. Lower 50s Alaska Peninsula, more sunshine into the lower to mid 60s up into Bristol Bay. And for the lows tonight, mid 50s over the Yukon Flats area, lower 50s central Tanana Valley, and then 40s out toward the southwest coast, 30s to the northwest, 40s to the southeast, including all of the Panhandle. Highs for tomorrow, mid 60s, so warming up over the southern Panhandle tomorrow. In fact, all of the southeast coast warming up with less precipitation, less clouds, more sunshine. Interior areas as well, back into the lower 70s from, say, Tanana eastward. And the North Slope maybe into the 60s. Arctic coast all into the 40s with upper 30s, though, hanging on for Point Hope, Cape Lisburne. 40s for the Bering Sea, Aleutians, Alaska Peninsula, 50s to near 60. And for flying weather, IFR right along the southwest coast, north side of the Alaska Peninsula and eastern Aleutians, and then much of the Bering Sea. Kotzebue Sound, but off the western Arctic coast, look for some IFR. Pretty good VFR here everywhere else. Down into, actually that should be IFR patch there, not VFR. That should be an area of IFR late tonight into tomorrow there for Prince William Sound, but VFR all across the southeast coast. Tomorrow afternoon, that becomes a little more extensive now from Prince William Sound southwestward there to Kodiak Island. Marginal VFR up right along the coast, pushing inland, probably possibly into eastern Turnagain Arm and southern Cook Inlet. Again, isolated thunderstorms, eastern interior, lots of IFR over the Bering Sea. And for Anaktuvik, VFR tomorrow, same forecast for Adigan. Lake Clark and Merrill, marginal VFR, rainy, marginal, or VFR with a risk of a thunderstorm. Windy VFR, same forecast there. Isabel, though, thunderstorm free, VFR, good flying conditions from Antasta. And rolling along to, let's see, seems like it got stuck there. Portage, it'll be marginal VFR, becoming, or Tanita VFR, and then Portage, marginal IFR possible on the eastern entrance, and rolling along to the, let's see, what's up next? Chilcoot White, VFR. Now, freezing levels, upper level low, 2,000 feet there, northwest coast, 8,000 feet though into the northern Panhandle, 4,000 feet, a little cooler over Kodiak Island. Icing chart shaping up like this, not a lot on it, just some areas of light, possibly light icing with that trough axis right through here above about 6,000 feet, possibly Kodiak Island. Otherwise, that's about it icing-wise. Moving on to the jet stream, well to the south here, upper low about the only thing affecting the area. And then the southwest jet here into the Queen Charlotte is pushing that moisture northward tomorrow afternoon. Easterly flow south of the Gulf of Alaska, 30 knots there, southeast of Kodiak, 25 off the southeast coast. Southwest flow 10 to 20 through the interior, and 3,000 feet, pretty light winds as well here. Northeast 30 south of Kodiak Island, south of the Alaska Peninsula. Light winds under this ridge axis. Southwesterlies just 10 to 15 north and west of the ridge axis there, and 35 off the southern Panhandle. Turbulence spotty at best here. Alaska Peninsula, maybe Norton Sound, and through the central interior due to the southwest winds, definitely for small aircraft. And after the break, I'll be back in the marine forecasts.
We have cleaned over 1,500 miles of shoreline now.
Basically, it comes down to just human muscle. I mean, we use chainsaws and knives.
We find stuff from like Russia and China and Korea, Vietnam, Malaysia. It really doesn't matter where it comes from. We all just have to clean it out.
Our goal right now in the next 10 or 11 days before the end of this year is just to see how much we can collect before we get to remove it.
What you see on the beach is a fraction of what's out there. You can pretty much break it down into 3 or 4 things. Water bottles, a lot of water bottles, styrofoam, fishing nets, fishing buoys. And that's 99% of what you find on the beach. Basically just go along with chainsaws and muscle and get the garbage, put it in sacks, and then from there we haul it up above the log jam so it's out of any heavy surf or winter storms if it's going to stay there for the year, and put it in super sacks. So yeah, we just progressively work down the coast, just day in and day out.
We have like daily goals for ourselves that, like, if we're working at a pretty good rate, we'd like to keep on pace with about, like, I don't know, about 20 to 25 super sacks a day. So this is pile 102, and in this pile right now we have 2 super sacks and 1 set of buoys. June 23rd here, this is what we've done today. We're up to 25 super sacks on the day, and I think for now we'll call it and just keep cleaning until tomorrow.
My name is Hannah, and I represent a organization in Japan called Japan Environmental Action Network. With over 20 people working together to clean up the beach, this is amazing. Like, we all need to work together to, clean up the beach as much as possible. So like every single time I go back to Japan, I talk to the fishermen, and the fishermen's like, it's a joke, but they're like, if you find any buoy with my logo, you gotta bring it back, and it's like, always looking out for that stuff.
The crew's awesome. I mean, we're all skiers or snowboarders, and we're all friends. I mean, we're all good friends. My dad started it. He's the man behind the desk. He makes the ball roll for sure. He works hard. He doesn't give up easy, which is good.
This stuff is uplifted quite a ways during the earthquake. Well, I think my bag's about full already. Yeah. I'm gonna take a quick look back in here. Somebody else is back here. The thing about marine debris is it's kind of a hidden problem. Unless you're out there, especially on these remote beaches that are so heavily impacted, people don't see it. I remember probably a good 20 years ago, out on the outside of Montague Island, flew out there, and I was just utterly astounded by all the garbage out there. You walk out there and you wade through this stuff and you go, this isn't right. This shouldn't happen.
I think a lot of it's just awareness. I mean, I've been boating out here for a long time and I wasn't even aware of how extensive the marine debris problem is out here, but it's a consumer world out there for sure. I mean, I don't know where people's values are, I guess, but mine is you got to kind of have a little bit of respect for the environment, and considering we live in it, especially in Alaska. I mean, a lot of people like the outdoors and like to be part of the outdoors. That's why they live here, and it's they don't necessarily want to see it trashed.
Welcome back. East to southeast winds on the increase tomorrow afternoon. In fact, down here on the south coast may come up to 25 knots. Southeast 10, increasing to maybe 20 in the afternoon for Clarence Strait, otherwise lighter all the way to the north there. But again, in the afternoon near Northern Canal, probably kicking up to 20 knots. Otherwise, easterlies to variable on the north coast and much lighter. Then for Monday, small craft advisories. Again, that front swinging eastward, northeastward, and northward here. So in advance of the front, south to southeast, 25 to 30 knots, falling back under small craft advisory speeds there south of the front. 25 knots coming into Clarence Strait, and 15 to 20 knots to the north. For Prince William Sound, North Gulf Coast tomorrow, light variable winds, 10 knots. Seas pretty slight, just 2 to 3 feet, even out over the Gulf of Alaska there. East 20, increased to 25 knots here out of the northeast here across Kodiak Island, Beaufort-Shelikof Strait there and on the east side. Kachemak Bay, southeast 15, light southwest breeze for Cook Inlet. Then for Monday, as the front comes up east, 25, turns northeast, and then northerlies, 25 knots from the Barrens. Down the east side of Kodiak, light variable winds shape up for Shelikof Strait, northwest 15, Kachemak Bay, light and variable north of the Forelands. For Bristol Bay, east 10, turn northeast 15 on the Bering Sea side of the peninsula. South side, Cape Sarachef to Sitkinak, northeast 25 knots, seas 8 feet. And then on Monday, those turn northwest, 15 to 20 knots, 15 knotters out of the northwest Bristol Bay down the north side of the peninsula. And for the Aleutians, pretty light variable winds for the central and the eastern areas there, 10 to 15 knots, more of a discernible direction out of the north and the northeast here in those southern zones. And northwest 15 become light and variable under high pressure over the west. Then southwest 15 on Monday there, higher pressure comes in, light variable winds for the Aleutians here. It's about as light as it gets, and the seas as slight as they ever forecast, 2 to 5 feet. And for the southwest coast, light and variable to westerlies at 10, light variable for the Pribilofs. And then that southwest flow here, 15 knots, seas 3 feet, northern Bering to St. Lawrence Island. And then that turns westerly at 15 here for the Pribilofs up to St. Matthew Island, southwest St. Lawrence Island, and then 20 knots out of the west there, south of Nunivak Island into Kuskokwim Bay. Eastern Beaufort Sea coast, actually central and east side, easterlies 15, increasing to 20 knots here over in this eastern zone. And then northeast, 15, turn northerly, just 10 knots there around the Capes. Northwest, turning west in toward Kotzebue Sound, blowing into Selaway. It could be even a little stronger than that there as you get east. And then for Monday, those swing around out of the east, quite light though, from Wales all the way up to Cape Beaufort. Northeast 15, just easterlies at 10 for the central coast. And then 15 to 20 knots, strongest as you head toward Demarcation Point. Excuse me, and for tonight again, low clouds and fog up here. It looks like probably the IFR back through here off the coast on the east side, hopefully. And then the thunderstorms that develop here through the central interior, dying back throughout the evening, definitely after midnight. Scattered showers possible, Kenai Peninsula this evening. Currently for the next few hours up into the valleys, really dissipating as well. Left behind high pressure, much more stable air mass, more low clouds. North Gulf Coast, Prince William Sound, down to Kodiak Island. Same thing for the Bering Sea, very stable light winds, as well as the Panhandle losing the showers. And then for Sunday, a chance of moisture tomorrow coming northward here, comes across the Queen Charlotte's into Dixon Entrance, hopefully staying south of the area until tomorrow night when that next front rolls on up. Trough hanging up through here for the next couple of days. Less thunderstorm activity over the eastern interior. And again, the increase in the winds here, southern Kodiak Island, south of the Alaska Peninsula out of the northeast with that gradient, with the main low center pulling off to the east and then swinging northward there, that high along the North Gulf Coast. Really nothing out to the west here to speak of. And then that allows on Monday, this thing just swings on up, small craft advisories, rain coming onto the coast, pushing across the southeast coast, kind of the dry area right through there.
These forecasts are to be used for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
The National Weather Service.